you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Hey guys, and welcome to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Cynthia, and happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope you all are having a fabulous day, a productive one, a chill one. As you are able to tell by my voice, it's still a little bit husky, but not as bad as Monday. So if you guys haven't tuned in to my Monday episode, I posted episode 371. I was so bad, my voice. Like, if you guys listened to it and you made it through the hour-long podcast or episode, thank you so much for being able to handle my voice a couple days ago. I literally lost it. Like, I started to notice my voice getting like this around Friday. And before you guys freak out and like, oh my God, is it COVID? Yada, yada, yada. I don't believe it's COVID. I don't feel sick at all. Nothing is painful. It's just like, I tend to lose my voice pretty frequently because, one, I'm a fitness instructor. I teach multiple classes weekly. I do this podcast weekly. So I think I just overexerted myself a little bit the last couple months, the past month. And it's been really, really windy here in Sacramento. So I think it's just a combination of a lot of things, allergies as well. And that's why my voice, was basically non-existent on Monday. And it's gotten a lot better, as you have been able to tell if you listen to my Monday episode. Still slightly husky today, but it's not like as bad as it was a couple of days ago. So I've been drinking a lot of hot lemon tea with some honey. Someone did tell me I think whiskey, but no. I am not a whiskey girl. Not for me. But anyway, besides my voice here, I'm feeling pretty good, pretty great. I had a bomb workout this morning. I had an upper body workout. Usually I find training my upper body a drag. Like I'm mentally just bored of it before I even start my workout. But I know that training my upper body is part of creating a proportioned physique, right? I can't just be training my lower body and like never train my upper body. I actually do know a few girls who do that, and they look good, but I don't know. I think it's also just for like personal health reasons. I just like want to feel strong. I want to maintain good posture, and you just never know what life may throw at you. And I just want to be at my most healthiest, tip-top shape possible, like at all times, like just prepared for whatever life may throw at me. And with all that being said, we're here to discuss all about the Pescetarian Diet. I am so excited to talk about this specific diet because this is the one I've actually been doing for the last 2 to 3 months. So if you guys are new listeners, I obviously, as most people, I'm not going to say everyone, as most people were raised, growing up animal byproducts, meat, dairy, all of that stuff. I grew up in a very traditional Mexican household, so eating an animal-based diet was very normal to me. And it wasn't until I believe like 6 years ago, I tried a vegan diet, not a whole plant-based diet, but a vegan diet. And I, completely went AWOL. I went cold turkey, threw everything out of my fridge, and I went from eating animal-based products to completely zero. But just because I was on a vegan diet doesn't mean that I was on a healthy diet. I was basically at that time, 6 years ago, trying to eat an animal-based diet like a vegan one, so I was buying a lot of vegan meat, vegan cheese, like trying to create my meals as an animal-based diet would typically look like, but with vegan products. And the thing with eating a lot of those vegan meats and cheeses is that it contains a lot of soy. A lot of times it's made of just like different things, they're not whole plant-based ingredients. So I wasn't healthy, and I ended up like sucking during that vegan diet. Like I was miserable. So I stopped, went back to eating meat and dairy products. Except for cutting dairy, actually, I forgot. So dairy, I have been dairy-free for like the last 6 years. And then recently I went like vegan or plant-based. I went plant-based for 2 months. And then just recently I started to add more fish and crab into my diet because your girl loves her crab meat, her crab legs. I just love seafood. I love sushi, shrimp, all of that. And that is just a genre of food that I am not willing to compromise or give up, essentially. So I think that out of all the diets I've tried, I think the Pescetarian diet is the one that suits me the best, that's going to help me reach my health and fitness goals. And I just feel good, right? Like part of eating healthy is also enjoying your meals. Eating healthy doesn't mean your foods need to be flavorless and like not good. So how I've designed my meal plan, in a sense, what has been working for me, this lifestyle diet, I basically try to eat plant-based whole foods as much as I can. But I do leave myself some wiggle room to eat shrimp, to eat sushi, to eat seafood, because I literally love seafood so much. Like that's just one thing I can't live without, especially crab legs. Like crab is definitely my favorite food. When I was in Vegas a couple weeks ago, I actually had like the best king crab in my entire life, and it was homemade, Cajun style, so delicious. Just talking about it is making my mouth water. I don't know if it's because I'm dehydrated or because I'm actually hungry, but I want some king crab now. Anyway, the Pescentarian diet. If you haven't been able to catch on to what I'm saying, the Pescetarian diet is someone who adds fish and seafood to a vegetarian diet, basically. So what I've been doing, I basically don't consume like meat. So I don't consume chicken. I don't consume red meat. Red meat I've actually cut out like many, many years ago. And it's been going great. Like I feel like this has been the perfect happy medium for me. Like I had sushi over the weekend. So sushi, crab legs, those are kind of the things I save for as my cheat meal. But during the week, like I still have vegetables with quinoa or rice, and I'll either have like a like a plant-based burger as my main protein source, or I'll have a pile of shrimp as my main protein source. So I just kind of play around with my meals, but definitely keeping it as plant-based as possible. But of course, if I'm in the mood to add some seafood in there, I'm going to do it. You feel me? Like I'm not going to forbid myself of eating those kinds of foods. And, there are many reasons people choose to forego meat and poultry but still eat fish. Some people choose to add fish to a vegetarian diet so they can get the health benefits of a plant-based diet plus heart-healthy fish, aka me. Others might be trying to curb the environmental impact of their diet, and for some, it might be simply a matter of taste. I feel like all of those things are a big motivating factor for me as to why I think I decided to pursue a pescatarian diet and why I think it's working so well for me. You know, I'm trying to get the health benefits of a plant-based diet, but also maintain my healthy omega-3 fatty acids in there with fish. I'm also trying to curb the environmental impact of my diet. Of course, being 100% plant-based is the most efficient way to do this, but I think even just cutting out meat, poultry, and dairy is going to make a sufficient amount of impact. And also for taste. I just love the taste of seafood. So don't go anywhere. We're going to go on a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to explain more about the benefits and drawbacks of a pescatarian diet, including exactly what a pescatarian does and doesn't eat.
Are you looking to learn more about the latest trends from the fitness world? Are you confused by all of the different trends that are out there? The GSMC Fitness Podcast is the place for you. The GSMC Fitness Podcast is the place to come for people of all skill and interest levels. Join us as we explore the latest trends in the fitness world. Does that new exercise really work? Should I try yoga? Whatever your question, chances are good you'll find an answer on the GSMC Fitness Podcast.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. So I just gave you guys the basic, easy definition of a pescatarian. And in a nutshell, in the most simplistic terms, pescatarians are people who add fish and seafood to their majority-based vegetarian diet. Most simply, a pescatarian is someone who doesn't eat meat but does eat fish, okay? The term pescatarian was coined in the early 1990s and is a combination of the Italian word for fish, which is pesce, and the word vegetarian. Sometimes it's spelled Pescetarian, but this means the same thing. I'm familiar with pescatarian being spelled as Pescatarian. So pescetarian, same thing. It means the exact same thing. Fun fact, in Spanish, pescado also means fish. So pece is Latin derived. Little linguistics here, right? Little linguistics lesson I'm giving y'all. In scientific literature, this diet is often described as pesco-vegetarian and is lumped into the spectrum of vegetarianism. By that definition, a pescatarian is someone who chooses to eat a vegetarian diet, but who also eats fish and other seafood. It's a largely plant-based diet of whole grains, nuts, legumes, produce, and healthy fats, with seafood playing a key role as a main protein source. Again, that is all me right there. Many pescatarians also eat dairy and eggs. I myself do not, which is really crazy to me that I was able to eliminate eggs out of my diet, because y'all, that was like every single morning I had avocado toast with a fried egg on top. And I just haven't been craving that at all. Which is insane. I will say though, I still have eggs sitting in my fridge. The liquid, it's without the yolk in the center. Egg whites, duh. I'm losing my train of thought here. I'm making it all confusing for you guys. I'm it's the egg without the yolk. So egg whites. Come on, Sin. Get it together. Anyway, like I just mentioned, many pescatarians also eat dairy and eggs. I personally do not. If you yourself are on a pescatarian diet, let me know in the comments if you guys eat dairy and eggs. And of course, just as vegetarian diets can vary widely, so can pescatarian ones. It's possible to eat a meat-free diet that's full of processed starches, junk food, and fish sticks, rather than a healthier one based on whole foods, right? So again, a pescatarian is someone who follows a mostly vegetarian diet, but also eats fish and seafood. So why do people choose a pescatarian diet? I very briefly mentioned this already in the previous segment. There are several reasons people may choose to eat a pescatarian diet. For one are the health benefits, right? There are many proven benefits to plant-based diets, including a lower risk of obesity and chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes. And according to research, you can get many of those protective benefits from a pescatarian diet too. One study found that women who were pescatarians gained 2.5 fewer pounds each year than women who ate meat. And people who shifted their diet in a more plant-based direction gained the least amount of weight, showing that reducing your animal consumption may be good for you no matter your current eating patterns. Another study concluded that pescatarians had a lower risk of developing diabetes at 4.8% compared to omnivores at 7.6%. Additionally, one large study looked at people who ate meat rarely or were pescatarians, and they had a 22% lower risk of dying from heart disease compared to regular eat-meaters. So pretty interesting facts here. So it is evident that eating or less meat, less poultry is going to give you significant health benefits. So that's the first main reason why people choose to eat a pescatarian diet. The second one is for environmental concerns, right? Raising livestock comes with a high environmental cost. According to the United Nations, raising livestock, which is like cows, things of that nature, contributes to 15% of all human-made carbon emissions. Okay? Livestock is the biggest contributor to human-made carbon emissions, aka climate change, aka global warming. The meat and dairy industry are quite literally killing our earth. And let me just give you guys a quick disclaimer. Do not get offended if you are tuning in and you eat meat. I'm not saying that I am better than you or pescatarians are better than you because we don't eat meat. That's not what I'm saying. I'm literally just stating what the facts are. And the facts are that raising livestock contributes to 15% of all human-made carbon emissions, which is the highest contributor, the highest number. So again, do not get offended. Thank you. Anyway, so I just said that. In contrast, producing fish and seafood has a lower carbon footprint than producing any type of animal meat or cheese. A 2014 study calculated that diets of fish eaters cause 46% less greenhouse gas emissions than the diets of people who ate at least a serving of meat a day. Okay? And another disclaimer I do want to put out there. The most efficient diet out there that will eliminate these greenhouse gas emissions the most is being vegan, is being on a plant-based diet. So yes, us eating fish, we still contribute to some level of human-made carbon emissions, okay? Like fishing and stuff, like that's all also polluting our earth. But it's just less. But that's all I'm trying to say. It's less, okay? So that's reason number 2. Thirdly, people choose to eat a pescatarian diet for ethical reasons, okay? Ethics can be a major reason why people choose to go vegetarian or pescatarian. Some of the ethical reasons people choose not to eat meat include opposing slaughter, right? They don't want to kill animals for food. They're against animal cruelty. Number 2, inhumane factory practices. They refuse to support factory farms that raise livestock in inhumane conditions. Makes sense. Number 3, poor labor conditions. They refuse to support factory farms that have poor conditions for their workers. And humanitarian reasons. They consider producing grain for animal feed an unjust use of land and resources when there's so much hunger in the world. And I couldn't agree anymore. Eliminating land animals from your diet addresses some of these ethical concerns, right, that I just mentioned, such as opposing slaughter and humane factory practices, poor labor conditions, and humanitarian reasons. That said, aquaculture and overfishing can also be problematic. Monterey Bay Aquarium's Seafood Watch program is an excellent resource for finding fish that are caught or farmed in ethical ways. So if you are a pescatarian yourself and you want to make sure that the fish you are buying is, being caught or farmed in ethical ways that does not compromise these ethical reasons, then again, check out Monterey Bay Aquarium's Seafood Watch program for more information. So in a nutshell, there are several reasons people choose this diet, including concerns about health, ethics, and the environment, which are all pretty strong reasons, right? And motivators. Like I said, I'm very motivated to continue to eat this pescatarian diet for all of these reasons, really, for ethical reasons, for environmental concerns, and for the health benefits. We're going to cut into a very brief break right now. And when we come back, we're going to discuss what exactly pescatarians eat and don't eat.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. As I mentioned in the previous segment, we're just going to dive straight into it. What do pescatarians eat? Again, a typical pescatarian diet is primarily vegetarian with the addition of seafood. So most pescatarians will eat whole grains and grain products, legumes and their products, including beans, lentils, tofu, and hummus, nuts and nut butters, peanuts and seeds, seeds including hemp, chia, and flax seeds, dairy, including yogurt, milk, and cheese, fruits, vegetables, fish and shellfish, and eggs. Those are just some of the main things the pescatarians eat. Now, the things that pescatarians don't eat are beef, chicken, pork, lamb, turkey, and wild game. So again, a healthy pescatarian diet is largely made up of minimally processed plant foods plus seafood and possibly dairy and eggs. So now I'm going to share with you guys some of the benefits of adding fish to a vegetarian diet. There are many health benefits of adding fish to a vegetarian diet. Many people are concerned that completely excluding animal products or avoiding animal flesh could lead to a low intake of certain key nutrients. The biggest thing I hear about is protein, right? Everyone's afraid that they're not going to be able to consume enough protein. Like, that is everyone's sole focus. I feel like when it comes to their health, it's like, I got to get my protein in. But the truth of the fact is, here in the United States, very rarely, almost nobody carries a protein deficiency, meaning we actually consume way more than needed in terms of protein, all right? So that really shouldn't be a concern with people when it comes to excluding animal products or avoiding animal products, okay? Besides protein, others in particular include vitamins B12, zinc, and calcium. But I'm not going to lie, y'all. It can be somewhat harder to get all of that in a vegan diet. Is it impossible? Absolutely not. It's absolutely possible because I know a lot of people who are on a vegan diet and thriving. You know, they're bodybuilders and they're vegan. So it's absolutely possible. Adding seafood, including fish, crustaceans, and mollusks, to a vegetarian diet can provide beneficial nutrients and variety. I think variety is one that's really important to a lot of people when it comes to their diet, right? There's a lot of people who can't eat the same thing every day over and over and over again for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I know I like variety in my dinner. Breakfast, I'm a creature of habit. I'll have the same thing every single morning and not get fed up. Mainly because I truly love what I eat in the morning, which is just avocado toast on an everything bagel with hummus and coffee. Okay, I'm pretty simple, pretty basic, but it's filling. When it comes to my dinner, however, I do like variety. Like, I'm not one of those people who can eat pasta every single night. Like, I'm just not. But I know people, I have friends who are like that. They don't mind the repetitive meals. If anything, they say it's easier on them because they already, it's second nature. They know how to make it, prep it, cook it, and all of that. They don't need to go through the troubles of looking up a recipe online or in a cookbook or anything like that. So again, if you're a vegetarian and you're looking to kind of spice up your diet a little bit or just add more variety, then adding seafood can be a great method to do. you can get more omega-3s this way, right? Fish is the best way to get omega-3 fatty acids. And I want to kind of dissect a little bit about omega-3 fatty acids, since this is the main health benefit that comes along with eating fish, right? Omega-3 fatty acids are incredibly, incredibly important. They have many powerful health benefits for your body and brain. In fact, few nutrients have been studied as thoroughly as omega-3 fatty acids. So right now, I'm going to give you guys a few of these health benefits of omega-3 fatty acids that are supported by science. The first one being that it can fight depression and anxiety. Most of us know that depression is one of the most common mental disorders in the world, right? More people are being, openly talking about this issue, which I think is very good and very important. Some of the symptoms of depression include sadness, lethargy, and general loss of interest in life. Anxiety is another common disorder and is characterized by constant worry and nervousness. Interestingly, studies indicate that people who consume omega-3s regularly are less likely to be depressed. What's more, when people with depression or anxiety start taking omega-3 supplements, their symptoms improve. And there are actually 3 types of omega-3 fatty acids. There's ALA, EPA, and DHA. Of the 3, EPA appears to be the best at fighting depression. And one study even found EPA as effective against depression as a common antidepressant drug. Okay? Impressive, right? Number 2, omega-3s can improve eye health. DHA, which is a type of omega-3 that I just mentioned, is a major structural component of the retina of your eye, which I did not know. When you don't get enough DHA, vision problems may arise. Interestingly, getting enough omega-3 is linked to a reduced risk of macular degeneration, one of the world's leading causes of permanent eye damage and blindness. Number 3, omega-3s can promote brain health during pregnancy and early life. Omega-3s are crucial for brain growth and development in infants. DHA accounts for 40% of the polyunsaturated fatty acids in your brain and 60% in the retina of your eye. Therefore, it's no surprise that infants fed a DHA fortified formula have better eyesight than infants fed a formula without it. Getting enough omega-3s during pregnancy is associated with numerous benefits for your child, including higher intelligence, better communication and social skills, fewer behavioral problems, decreased risk of developmental delay, and decreased risk of ADHD, autism, and cerebral palsy. Number 4, omega-3s can improve risk factors for heart disease. Heart attacks and strokes are the world's leading cause of death. Decades ago, researchers observed that fish-eating communities had very low rates of these diseases, and this was later linked to omega-3 consumption. Since then, omega-3 fatty acids have been tied to numerous benefits for heart health, and these benefits address triglycerides, which are omega-3s can cause a major reduction in triglycerides, usually in the range of 15 to 30%. Blood pressure. Omega-3s can reduce blood pressure levels in people with high blood pressure. Good HDL cholesterol. Omega-3s can raise good HDL cholesterol levels. Then we have blood clots. Omega-3s can keep blood platelets from clamping together. This helps prevent the formulation of harmful blood clots. Plaque. By keeping your arteries smooth and free from damage, omega-3s help prevent the plaque that can resist and harden your arteries. And lastly, inflammation, which is really, really important. I think that 90% of health issues that people experience are due to an inflammation problem. Omega-3s reduce the production of substances released during your body's inflammatory response. For some people, omega-3s can also lower bad LDL cholesterol. However, evidence is mixed. Some studies find increases in LDL. Despite these beneficial effects on heart disease risk factors, there is no convincing evidence that omega-3 supplements can prevent heart attacks or strokes. Many studies find no benefit. So, you guys, those are just some of the main benefits that omega-3 fatty acids offer. And again, these fatty acids are found in fish. Like, the best way to get these omega-3 fatty acids are through fish, okay? DHA and EPA have additional health benefits, helping not just the heart, but also brain function and mood. And in contrast, oily fish, such as salmon and sardines, contains EPA and DHA. We're going to cut into a very brief break right now. And when we come back, more on some of the benefits of adding fish to your diet.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. So right before we went on break, we were just discussing, the amazing benefits of omega-3s. I think this is one of the main reasons and benefits, one of the main health benefits people are chasing in a pescatarian diet, right? Is to gain more omega-3 fatty acids. You can always take supplements, but I'm a big advocate in trying to get your main nutrient source from foods and not from pills. Adding fish to your diet can also boost your protein intake. Humans only need about 0.8 grams of protein per 2.2 pounds of body weight daily to stay healthy. That's about 54 grams for a 150-pound person, okay? However, many people prefer to eat more protein than that. As I mentioned before, us here in the U.S., I think we think that we are in a protein deficiency, which is like the exact opposite. We consume way more protein than what's actually needed. A high-protein diet can be very hard to achieve with just plant proteins. Impossible, no. Difficult, yes. Especially if you don't want extra carbs or fat with your protein. Fish and other seafood offer an excellent source of lean protein. Seafood is packed with other nutrients, right, besides the omega-3s. beyond omega-3s and protein, seafood is rich in several other nutrients. For instance, oysters are extremely high in vitamin B12, zinc, and selenium. Just one oyster delivers 133% of the RDI recommended daily intake for vitamin B12 and 55% of the RDI for zinc and selenium. Mussels are also super rich in vitamin B12 and selenium, as well as manganese and the rest of the B vitamins. White fish varieties such as cod and flounder don't deliver much omega-3 fat, but they are a source of extremely lean protein. For example, just 3 ounces of cod provide 19 grams of protein and less than a gram of fat, okay? And cod is also an excellent source of selenium and a good source of phosphorus, niacin, and vitamins B6 and B12. And let me just say, really random fact here. I've tried oysters before, and I just can't get into it, you guys. It's the texture for me. Like, I just can't. I tried oysters with my boyfriend at a sushi restaurant. He likes oysters, but he says that like after a few, he starts to feel a little sick. And I'm not kidding you guys. I wanted to throw up in that restaurant, okay? Like, that is probably the only seafood that I'm not a fan of are oysters, which is crazy because a lot of like seafood lovers love oysters, but like it's really just the texture that throws me off and why I can't get into it. But everyone who I tell that to, they always recommend for me to try deep fried oysters instead. So that's definitely next on my list. Am I still frightened? Absolutely. But will I try it? Absolutely, because I need to form my own opinion and not base it off what other people think and like, right? So anyway, that was just a little mini rant about oysters. Again, for all my seafood lovers out there, let me know if you're a fan of oysters or not. Is it the texture for you? Is it the taste? What is it? Let me know. So again, those are like the main benefits of adding fish to a vegetarian diet. You know, the omega-3s, your protein intake. In general, seafood is packed with a lot of other nutrients. And it'll also just give you extra options, right? Being a vegetarian can be limiting at times. And eating out at restaurants often leaves you with a not so healthy choice, with dishes like cheesy pasta as the main veggie option, right? Been there, done that. If health at least partially motivates your food choices, then becoming a pescatarian will give you more options. And fish is generally a good one, especially if you get it baked, grilled, or sauteed as opposed to deep fried. I usually like to bake my salmon, but again, each to their own. And adding seafood to a vegetarian diet gives you more options and is a good way to get protein, omega-3s, and other nutrients. So I told you guys all the good stuff, right? I gave you guys all the fluff. Now I actually want to hit some of the drawbacks. What are the drawbacks of the diet? Some of the negatives. And here's the thing. There are not that many health drawbacks of the pescatarian diet, which is great. That said, some people may be more vulnerable to high intakes of fish. And fish, especially larger species, can contain mercury and other toxins. For this reason, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, recommends that young children and women of childbearing age, especially pregnant and nursing women, should avoid tilefish, swordfish, shark, and king mackerel. These populations would also limit albacore and yellowfin tuna to 1 palm-sized serving or less per week. Light tuna is lower in mercury, and it's fine to eat 2 to 3 servings a week. And since this diet is primarily vegetarian, it's subject to some of the other traps that frequently accompany vegetarian diets, right? For instance, it can be easy to overeat carbs, especially if you rely a lot on processed grains. So again, there can be some drawbacks to eating a pescatarian diet, but overall, it's just mainly making sure you don't overeat in carbs. And some fish could be high in mercury, and there are certain populations that should watch out. Again, young children and women who are pregnant, basically just making sure you're not eating too much fish, watching out for the mercury content. Another, kind of drawback of the pescatarian diet is that seafood is consuming a lot of seafood every day. It's high in sodium, right? These are saltwater creatures. They were in the ocean, and the ocean is made up of salt, right? So you could actually taste it in the food. It's kind of salt, like a natural salt. So that is probably the other drawback of a pescatarian diet, is that the sodium content may be a lot higher than those who have a mixture of meat, or those who are plant-based. That's also from what I've heard from other people, why they've tried pescatarian diets and why they got off it or started adding meat to their diet. But here's the thing, meat also carries a lot of sodium. So honestly, I think the best way to avoid sodium or to minimize sodium the most is just by eating whole food, plant-based, period, right? All animal-based products are going to have some level of seafood. So here's the bottom line, you guys. A pescatarian diet can be quite healthy, actually. And what's more, it lets you avoid some of the ethical and environmental issues related to diets that include meat. Additionally, this way of eating provides more flexibility and some additional nutrition compared to a standard vegetarian diet. And overall, eating a plant-based diet with some seafood is a healthy choice. Am I telling you that you absolutely must be pescatarian? No. Again, I am just simply sharing with you guys what has worked for me, what I'm enjoying, and also what's been working out for others, right? There's a lot of reasons and a lot of people as to why they are following this pescatarian diet and why they are so successful at it. You feel me? So we're going to cut into a very, very deep, or very brief, not deep, very brief break. And when we come back, I'm going to share with you guys what is the healthiest way to cook fish. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Hey guys, and welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. We are now entering the final segment of today's episode, and we are going to end today's episode with talking about the healthiest way to cook fish. If you guys haven't already gotten the gist of this, Fish is a really healthy food choice, okay? Eating it regularly may lower your risk of a number of health conditions, including heart disease, stroke, and depression. Because of this, health professionals often recommend that people eat fish at least once or twice a week. However, the way you cook your fish can change its nutritional composition, so some cooking methods may be better for your health than others. And right now, we're going to explore how different cooking methods may change the nutritional value of your fish, and we're going to examine which methods are the healthiest. So let's start with why fish is so healthy. Very briefly, again, I kind of already went in depth in the previous segment, but I just kind of want to reiterate some points. There are many types of fish, and all with different nutrient profiles. In general, they're divided into two categories, lean and fatty. Both lean and fatty are considered nutritious and a great source of high-quality protein. But fatty fish are thought to be especially important for health. And this is because they contain some important nutrients, including omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D. Currently, around 40% of people have low levels of vitamin D. And this has been linked to a higher risk heart disease, diabetes, cancer, dementia, and some autoimmune diseases. The best way to get vitamin D is through sun exposure, of course. It's literally in the name. However, fatty fish are one of the few food sources of vitamin D and can contribute a good amount. Your body and brain also need omega-3 fatty acids to function at their best. In fact, getting enough omega-3s has been linked with a number of health benefits, including a decreased risk of heart disease and some cancers. These special fats may also slow down the decline in brain function that people commonly experience as they age. Eating lean fish may also have health benefits. Some studies have linked it to a lower risk of metabolic syndrome and reduced risk factors for heart disease. There are some of the reasons why health experts recommend eating fish at least once or twice a week. So that was just kind of the background on, why fish is so healthy, why people use fish as their main protein source. So now let's actually get to some of the cooking methods. So grilling and broiling. Grilling and broiling are very similar cooking methods, right? They both involve applying dry heat to your food at very high temperatures. The main difference between the two methods is that grilling applies heat from below and broiling applies it from above. Both methods are a fast way to cook really tasty fish without adding any fats. Unfortunately, both grilling and broiling are known to cause the formation of some harmful compounds called heterocyclic amines, HAs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAH. These two types of compounds form when muscle tissue from meat or fish is heated to very high temperatures, particularly over an open flame. However, the risks associated with these compounds have only been linked to high intakes of red or processed meat. Eating fish hasn't been associated with the same risks. Grilling and broiling may also result in the formation of compounds called advanced glycation end products. These compounds form naturally in your body as you age, but can also form in muscle-containing foods like meat and fish when they are cooked at high temperatures. High levels of AGEs have been linked to a range of diseases, including heart disease, diabetes, and Alzheimer's. To reduce your exposure to these compounds, avoid cooking with an open flame. Try to keep your cooking times as short as possible and avoid charring meat. Additionally, applying a marinade to your fish before you grill it may help reduce the formation of HAs and PHAs. So that's grilling and broiling. Let's then get into pan frying and deep frying. Pan frying and deep frying are high temperature cooking methods that use hot fat, right? Deep frying involves submerging food in a large amount of fat, while pan frying uses a much smaller amount of fat in a skillet, wok, or pot. During frying, fish will absorb some of the fat, increasing its calorie content and changing the types of fat it contains. Cooking your fish in an oil, such as vegetable oil, that contains high amounts of omega-6 fatty acids can increase its content of inflammatory omega-6s. This has been shown to happen to a greater degree in fish that has been deep fried rather than pan fried due to the larger amount of oil used. In general, lean fish also tends to absorb more oil than fatty fish. The high temperatures during frying also damage the healthy omega-3 fatty acids in fish more than other cooking methods do. In fact, one study found that frying tuna decreased the amount of beneficial omega-3 fatty acids by 70 to 85%. However, it seems that these effects can vary depending on which species of fish you cook. Other studies have found that some fish, such as herring, may still contain beneficial amounts of omega-3s after they're fried, not fired. Other nutrients may be at risk too, as one study found that frying salmon reduced the amount of vitamin D it contained by half. The high temperatures of frying may also cause more of a harmful compounds, HAs and PAHs and EGEs to form. Overall, pan frying is considered healthier than deep frying due to the smaller amount of oil it uses. Additionally, it's best to choose an oil that's stable at high heat and will add healthier fats to your fish. Olive oil is one healthy option. Now let's get into poaching and steaming. Poaching and steaming are cooking methods that use water or other liquids during the cooking process. Poaching involves submerging your fish in a liquid such as water, milk, stock, or wine while cooking in the oven. Steaming is often carried out in a specially designed pot or appliance and uses hot, vaporized water to cook your fish. Neither poaching nor steaming add oil or fat to the fish, so using these methods won't add calories or change the fats in your fish. Poaching and steaming also cook fish at slightly lower temperatures than other methods, which helps preserve nutrients and is thought to minimize the formation of healthy chemicals like HAs and PAHs. One study suggested that the longer cooking time required to steam fish may increase the number of cholesterol oxidation products. These are potentially harmful compounds formed when cholesterol is heated. However, both steaming and poaching are considered healthy since their lower temperatures and lack of cooking fat help preserve the beneficial omega-3 fatty acids in fish better than other cooking methods. And lastly, let's get into baking. So baking is a dry heat method that involves cooking fish in an oven. Some studies have shown that baking fish causes less loss of omega-3 fatty acids than both frying and microwaving. Baking may also be a better way to retain the vitamin D content of fish. One study found that baked salmon retained all its vitamin D, whereas fried salmon lost around 50% of this important vitamin. For these reasons, oven baking is considered a healthy way to cook fish. However, as with other cooking methods, covering your fish in oil during cooking can change its fatty acid profile. If you're baking fish, use minimal amounts of a heat-stable, healthy oil like olive oil, and then get to baking. So with all that being said, which method should you choose? Overall, the healthiest cooking methods limits the loss of healthy omega-3 fats, retain the most nutrients, and minimize the formation of harmful compounds. In general, this means that microwaving, baking, steaming, and poaching your fish are your best bets. On the other hand, deep frying fish is the least healthy cooking method, which I'm sure most of you knew that one already. But yes, microwaving, baking, steaming, and poaching are your best bets for cooking your fish and keeping all of its nutrient compounds and everything. So you guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode here at the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I really hope you guys learned a thing or two regarding the pescatarian lifestyle. Again, let me know in the comments if you yourself are about that pescatarian lifestyle. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that stuff, because that tremendously helps the show. And I'll catch you guys here next week.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Health and Wellness Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.